Hey guys, Xizzle here, and welcome to my League of Legends patch 5.21 analysis. Today we're going to take a look at the major and minor changes this time around and quickly discuss if they're going to change anything. Today's candidates for major changes are Gangplank, Vega and Zilean, while for minor changes we have Chogath, Kassadin, Mordekaiser and Riven. Starting off with Gangplank, who has his base health reduced to 580 from 631 and his health growth stat increased to 82 from 79. On top of that, his parley now only costs 40 mana instead of 50, but no longer refunds mana on kill. This is actually quite a huge change in my opinion, considering that Gangplank's biggest strength was always to one-shot people with his spells after farming freely for like 30 minutes or something. The problem now is that after a while he's just gonna run out of mana, and even before that he's just gonna die. Like 50 health is quite a lot early game, and now that he actually has to go melee range to farm, this opens up for many champions to just engage him and just flat out kill him, because he was never the champion to just fight people one-on-one that early into the game. So in my opinion, you really need to keep an eye out for Gangplank disappearing for some time at least, because this seems like a pretty huge change. Although I still think his ultimate is pretty game-changing at times, so he's not going to be weak, definitely not, but he might have far fewer good matchups. So maybe you really need to take a look at when you want to pick him or when you don't. Next up is Vega, who has his Q damage reduced by 10 up to 30 and his W damage reduced by a flat 30. This change is not huge in the sense that it doesn't change his playstyle, but in laning where you have to like kill your opponent, you just suddenly miss 50 damage at level 9, and that could be game changing. So you definitely need to keep that in mind and calculate that in when playing Vega. But overall the champion is still going to be the same, so I don't think he's going to disappear, so keep playing him. The last major change is Zilean, who gets a new passive called Time in the Bottle, where you passively generate experience which you can give to yourself and an ally, and change to his Q, where the radius is now edge to edge instead of center from center. This is I don't know how it's going to affect Zilean, considering that his passive is it's not gonna be huge, but it might make a difference in some lanes where you have a certain power spike which you can just reach earlier, or you can just go to mid lane and give him the extra bit of XP to reach, I don't know, level 11 for a dragon fight. So maybe that's gonna change something, but overall I don't think the passive change is really gonna affect Zilean. However, the time bomb change, which is just a pretty huge radius change in my opinion, might be really effective, considering that it's now edge to edge from instead of center from center, and you should be able to just connect Qs more reliably and stun people without really trying to aim really hard to actually get one stun off. So this might be really good for him in lane phase or just in general. Maybe he's gonna be played a little bit more, but I don't think that this is gonna be that big. But considering that he has a completely new passive which I can't really judge yet, I decided to put this as a major change, since I can't really say how it's gonna turn out in the end, and I don't really play Zilean and I don't main support, so yeah, there you go. On to minor changes, starting off with Chogath, who now gets 2 stacks of his ultimate instead of 1 when he kills someone with it, and now regenerates some health if he kills someone with full stacks. This is a change that I feel like is not going to do anything, considering that Chogath is just going to farm up minions until 6 stacks anyway, and he's probably not going to fight a whole lot before that, so maybe it's going to be a little bit better in lane, but the numbers are just far too small to make the heal relevant at all, and the champion kill 2 stacks thingy instead of 1 is really not all that big. So if they give him an AP ratio on top of the base health, maybe it's gonna be noticeable, but 300 health for a champion late game is really not that much. So this is just a change that's nice, but it's just a mechanic that needs to be improved on before it's actually really useful in my opinion. Next up is Kassadin, who has his W cooldown reduced to 7 seconds from 9 and his AP ratio increased to 0.7 from 0.6. This change is pretty good for laning, obviously because of the mana sustain, but it's not that huge because you're not going to use your W on the enemy that much anyway, early game at least, because you just don't have your ultimate, and I don't think we're going to see Kassadin all that more often. Maybe he gets picked into some champions, but aside from the normal counter picks that he's getting picked on, like against LeBlanc or something, I don't think this is gonna affect Kassadin a whole lot. And then we have Mordekaiser, whose W now gives 50% bonus XP instead of 100% when you're laning with an ally. This is pretty good in the sense that it just can't snowball out of control that much anymore, but it's not going to change a whole lot. He's still going to one-shot people with his third Q, and he's still Mordekaiser with his annoying dragon pet thingy, so yeah, I think this change is just not going to do much except for trying to make him snowball a bit less. And last but not least we have Riven, whose ultimate cooldown is increased to 130, 95, 60 from 110, 18, 50. This cooldown increase, especially early game for just 20 seconds, might be a bit better considering that she's quite a huge lane bully, but in general I don't think this is gonna do much. It gives a longer window to actually go on her, but in general Riven is still gonna be the same annoying lane bully, and she's gonna build lots of CDR anyway, so especially mid game and late game this change is gonna do nothing. So I think this Riven is still the same champion. She's still, in my opinion, a little bit OP. So probably not gonna do anything, which is sad. But yeah, it exists and might help a little bit early game. And that's it for this patch. I hope you enjoyed this short rundown and analysis, and if so, a comment, like or subscription would be greatly appreciated. Have a nice day and see you next time.